We're Jackie and Bobby with Ascension Presents. Today we want to talk to you about protecting your marriage, specifically kind of the questions of like, can you have opposite sex friendships when you're married? Like what's appropriate, what's not appropriate? And you get that question quite a bit.
Yeah, I actually got asked, not someone who was married, but someone who was dating, and they said, my boyfriend has like, and it was their ex-girlfriend, like, and he talks to her still. It makes me very uncomfortable. Like, what do you do when you have a significant other who has a friend of the opposite sex? Like, how does that work? And I think the first question we need to ask is, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to have a friend? Because of course you can have friends of the opposite sex when you're married, but like, what does that mean? What does that friendship look like? Because, if you're texting somebody all day, like another woman, like that's shady.
Yeah, so shady, Father Mike's got a good video on boundaries, and Jackie's got a good video on attraction. You can check those out because it's a big issue we don't have like a ton of time for, but really, like, I promised in marriage to be true to one person, sickness and health till death do you part. And so anything that gets in the way of that, including maybe a friendship, like that could be trouble. And most affairs, when you look at kind of the data, it's this, I don't know how I got here, or I didn't expect to have an affair, or it just happened. Where it's like, well, it didn't just happen. Like, there were a lot of things that happened along the way. A lot of boundaries were crossed that we are either oblivious to, or we're enabling, and then we get into trouble. And it's too late maybe by the time we try to put on the brakes or whatnot. And so,
or we don't even want to put on the brakes.
Sure, yeah.
We kind of like have that desire, and it feels good, so we keep going to that person over, and maybe our marriage is emotionally distant, and that's when the devil really will try to get us right to sin and to cheat.
Look first of all, like, how's your relationship right now? Like, how's your communication? Are you, again, talking and sharing your goals and sharing what's going on? Because when you start to get distant, or again, even with children, sometimes you're focused on them so much, your marriage can go behind the scenes. And then at work, you start having inside jokes, or you start really sharing intimate details that you shouldn't be with someone else. That can happen online too. That can happen all sorts of environments. When it's like stuff that I should be telling my wife, suddenly I start telling a third party. And then maybe I prefer telling this third party to my wife. And so we get more distant, and again, boundaries keep getting crossed.
So of course we have friends of the opposite sex, but like, I'm thinking, like, one of our really good friends, we're friends with a couple, but like Bobby would never call the wife just to like catch up with her. Like, we talk together. Actually, we have like Skype dates with them, with each other, or they would not have like a side text conversation.
Or if I had to talk to her or had a question, I would tell my wife, oh, I talked to so-and-so, or I would definitely involve the husband. I've done that before too, like, tell your husband I said whatever. So there's like, I want it to be transparent and not anything like secretive, because I want to protect my marriage first as well as my friends. Like, I don't want to give them any kind of...
Yeah. And I have a guy friend who needed to text me about a lot of stuff, but he included Bobby in the conversation. So it was like the three of us were in a group. So my single guy friend wanted to be transparent. Like, he's not just talking just to me, but he included both of us, so that, really it's like, every conversation I have on my text messages, I should be able to show my husband. Like, I shouldn't be talking to a third party about my spouse. Like, this is my best friend. And I know some people, when they get married, they have friends of the opposite sex. They're like, oh, well, we're going to stay friends. It's like, those relationships should change, because this is your best friend. Like, this is the person who, is going to be with you till death do you part. And so that, I have seen it so many times where people think their relationships aren't going to change with their best friends who are the opposite sex. And it's like, well, it's just not, that's part of how it goes. Like, this becomes the person that you're laying your life down for, right? So I shouldn't have any inside secrets with other people that my husband doesn't know, because that's where it gets dicey, okay? When I start having like inside things that somebody else knows and Bobby doesn't know about it, and that creates like an excitement over here, and then you could start drifting away from your spouse. So we got to look at our emotions. Anyway, I talked about this in the attraction video, so the Christian response to attraction. So check that out, because we should be attracted to people, right?
Right.
But again, you're protecting your marriage a lot of times from yourself.
Yeah, so you have to know yourself, be
Yeah.
mindful of the signals you're giving off. If you're overly friendly, you may need to watch that. At the risk of being rude sometimes, it's important to, again, kind of maybe keep business at work, and protect your family if to avoid flirting or anything else like that, because again there's physical boundaries and emotional boundaries as well as spiritual boundaries too,
and people can take that the wrong way.
Right.
He works, so Bobby works at an all-boys school, and sometimes with other people or female coworkers or the moms or whatever, you're not rude, but you're just very like, you don't want to give off the impression that you're flirting with them and touching them. And some personalities,
I don't touch anyone.
I know you don't touch anyone. Yeah. Some personalities are very touchy-feely or flirty or whatever, like extroverts, sanguines are really like life of the party. But you have to watch out the signals you are giving, because even if you aren't meaning to, someone else who's in a different place than you could totally take that the wrong way. So, don't be rude, but just kind of, and you're different with maybe women who don't know you versus our friend, like our female friends who are married or whatever. Like, you're still not flirty, but like
I'm still a jerk.
But yeah, it's like we know, again, that what different relationships are, and
Well, be mindful too of
you can
like
be a little more open or free.
as men, like we want to help, we want to fix things, and so sometimes if someone's leaning on us, like they need to be listened, like, or they have whatever issues, and they feel like they can't tell their husband or their significant other, it's a dangerous situation because you feel like, oh, they're trusting me and I can help and I can fix it. And in the seminary, they kind of warned us about this, like, again, boundaries. As you would safeguard your house, you put up security around your house, you need to safeguard your marriage. You need to protect your marriage. So keep dating, keep romancing your spouse, make time to listen to them and communicate, so that you are connecting emotionally, physically, and speak up if there's something's going on before it progresses too long and you start looking elsewhere, in all the forms. We're all in continual need of healing too. So like any woundedness or fallenness, seek out spiritual advice, speak out a counselor if need be, so that those disordered desires can get named and brought to the light and healed, so that they're not, going to bubble up and harm your marriage too.
Yeah, I would say to the extent that we're not healed and that we're like insecure or not happy with our own life, like that's when we will seek out somebody else. And to the extent that we're not happy in our own marriage or whatever, that's where we're going to go look for validation somewhere else. So
a deacon told me, on your very best day, you're human. So on the day where you're feeling close to the Lord and invincible and there's no way you could fall, watch out.
Watch out.
They're
coming for you. No.
Don't get cocky, kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the prophet Han Solo. Because we're human and we're liable to fall. And again, you have to guard your house. You have to keep your eyes fixed on the right goals and recalibrate. Again, if you're stressed and you're just kind of, the work week's going by and your marriage is not connecting, you got to make effort to connect. You made vows, so you need to be people of that vow. You need people like that keep their word.
I will also say, if your spouse has a friend of the opposite sex and you're feeling a little weird about it, please speak up, say something. Again, you should never be afraid to communicate with your spouse. So if there was a woman or a coworker or Bobby was talking, I would say, hey, it kind of makes me uncomfortable that you're calling this person or texting this person a lot or whatever. Speak up, because you have to communicate. And again, this is the person you're married till death do you part.
And this isn't to be neurotic or I live in a spirit of fear or I have to have my spouse under surveillance and every email or message is libeled. Yeah. But I mean, again, if we want to be transparent, live in the light, I shouldn't have anything to hide. And again, it's about being free and protecting the house of my marriage from within and from without.
If you have any advice, we would love to hear it. If anything has helped you, maybe we'll do another video on this if you guys.
There's a lot to say. So like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to add a comment of your experience or what's helped you, because we're all in this together. From all of us at Ascension Presents, God bless.